Hey, Steelers Nation. We're back with an exclusive video packed with the latest updates on our beloved Pittsburgh Steelers. Before we dive in, make sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. This way, you'll never miss any exclusive updates or exciting Steelers news. The shockwave hit the Steelers universe like a low rumble that nobody could quite locate at first. The kind of whisper that starts in the corners of locker rooms and then creeps into timelines, group chats, and late-night calls between insiders who swear they are just asking innocent questions. The idea floating around is simple but explosive. DK Metcalf might be on his way out. Not officially, not with a press release or a farewell speech, but through that gray fog where rumors live and breathe. When a player of his profile, power, and personality is suddenly mentioned in conversations about uncertainty, people listen. Fans start replaying moments in their heads. Analysts start connecting dots that may or may not exist, and the organization itself becomes a character in the story, silent and unreadable. Metcalf has always been more than just a wide receiver. He is an event every time he lines up, a physical statement that shifts how defenses think and how teammates feed off energy. So when speculation hints that something is off, that conversations behind closed doors are heavier than usual, it creates a tension that cannot be ignored. Nobody is saying it outright, but the tone has changed. There is a feeling that the Steelers are standing at a crossroads, and that Metcalf's future is somehow tied to a broader internal debate about identity, direction, and control. Rumors thrive on silence, and right now, silence is doing a lot of talking. People close to the situation keep using the same words, carefully chosen, as if rehearsed: frustration, adjustment, vision. None of those terms automatically mean separation, but together they paint a picture of a relationship being tested. Metcalf arrived with expectations as heavy as his physical presence, carrying the reputation built during his college days with the Ole Miss Rebels and later reinforced when he entered the league through the Seahawks. That background matters because it shaped a player who expects to be central, who thrives on being challenged but also on being trusted. The Steelers, historically, are an organization that values structure and collective discipline, sometimes even above individual expression. When those two philosophies align, magic happens. When they do not, tension simmers. The rumor suggests that recent internal conversations have been intense, focusing on how the offense should evolve and who should be the focal point when pressure mounts. Metcalf, by nature, wants the ball, wants the moment, wants the responsibility. That desire is not a flaw, but it can become complicated if the broader plan points in a different direction. No one is accusing anyone of wrongdoing. This is about fit, timing, and the unspoken question of whether both sides still see the same future when they look ahead. Another layer fueling this speculation is the business side, the part fans often hate to think about but cannot escape. Contracts, cap space, and long-term planning are cold realities that sometimes clash with emotion and loyalty. Metcalf's value is undeniable, which paradoxically makes him both precious and movable in the eyes of executives. When a player is that good, other teams notice, calls are made, and hypothetical scenarios are quietly explored. Even if the Steelers have no intention of moving him, the mere act of listening can leak, morph, and grow into a narrative of imminent departure. Sources whisper that there have been internal evaluations about how resources are allocated, about balancing star power with depth, about whether one blockbuster move could reshape the roster in a way that aligns better with future goals. None of this confirms anything, but it adds oxygen to the fire. Metcalf's name carries weight, and weight creates gravity. Gravity pulls speculation toward it, bending every small comment or vague quote into something larger than it might be. In this environment, even a neutral statement can sound loaded, and every smile or lack thereof becomes evidence in the court of public opinion. Fans, meanwhile, are split between disbelief and anxious acceptance. Some refuse to entertain the idea, arguing that you do not let a talent like Metcalf walk away unless something has gone terribly wrong. Others, more cynical or perhaps more pragmatic, see it as another chapter in the never-ending cycle of roster evolution. They remember other stars who once seemed untouchable until they were not. This emotional divide is exactly what rumors feed on, because it keeps the conversation alive and loud. Metcalf himself has not poured water on the fire, but he has not added fuel either. His public presence remains controlled, professional, almost distant, which in this context feels meaningful. Silence becomes a canvas onto which everyone projects their fears or hopes. The Steelers organization, true to form, offers no clarity, reinforcing the sense that something delicate is unfolding. Whether this ends with reassurance or with a dramatic shift, the current atmosphere feels heavier than a simple misunderstanding. It feels like a moment where decisions are being weighed carefully, and where the outcome could redefine how this chapter of Steelers football is remembered. As the story deepens, the speculation expands beyond just Metcalf and starts to question the Steelers' broader philosophy. Are they leaning toward a more system-driven approach, where individual stars are secondary to scheme and adaptability, or are they still committed to building around dominant personalities who can take over games? Metcalf represents that second idea perfectly. He is not subtle, not quiet, not easily contained within conservative expectations. If the Steelers are rethinking how much volatility they are willing to embrace, then even a player as impactful as Metcalf could find himself at the center of an uncomfortable conversation. This does not mean conflict in the dramatic sense, but rather a divergence in priorities. The rumor suggests that both sides may be asking themselves hard questions, and sometimes asking the right questions leads to answers you did not expect. Whether this is a temporary storm or the beginning of a larger shift remains unknown, but the sense of unease is real. When a franchise and a star start drifting into philosophical debate, the outcome is rarely predictable. Now, the narrative subtly shifts because the second half of this rumor is less about what might happen and more about what it would mean if it did. Imagining a Steelers team without Metcalf is uncomfortable for many, not because the team would suddenly lack talent, but because it would signal a deeper change in attitude. Metcalf is a statement player, someone who tells opponents and fans alike that the Steelers are willing to be bold, physical, and unapologetically aggressive. Removing that element, even hypothetically, forces people to reconsider the identity of the offense and the locker room. Some insiders speculate that the organization is evaluating whether that identity still serves them best in the long run. They talk about flexibility, about spreading responsibility, about reducing reliance on singular moments of dominance. Those ideas sound reasonable on paper, but football is not played on paper. It is played through emotion, momentum, and belief. Metcalf embodies belief, the kind that can flip a game's energy in a single snap. Letting go of that presence would be a calculated risk, one that only makes sense if the alternative vision is crystal clear. There is also the human side, which often gets lost in rumor cycles. Metcalf is not just an asset. He is a competitor who measures his career in legacy and impact. If he senses that his role might be changing, that his voice might carry less weight, or that his prime years might be spent adapting instead of dominating, it would be natural for him to reassess his own future. The rumor mill suggests that these personal reflections are part of the current atmosphere, even if no official requests or ultimatums have been made. Athletes at this level are constantly evaluating alignment between their goals and their environment. When alignment feels off, even slightly, it creates mental distance. That distance does not guarantee separation, but it makes the idea imaginable. And once something becomes imaginable, it becomes discussable. And once it is discussable, it becomes a rumor that refuses to die. Another angle gaining traction is how the rest of the locker room would interpret a potential Metcalf exit. Leaders set tone not just through words, but through presence. Metcalf's work ethic, intensity, and visible passion are contagious, pushing others to raise their level. If he were to leave, voluntarily or otherwise, it would send a message about what is valued and what is negotiable. Some players might welcome a quieter hierarchy, while others might feel that a source of fire has been removed. The Steelers have always prided themselves on resilience and internal strength, But even the strongest cultures are influenced by who occupies the spotlight. This is why the rumor feels bigger than one transaction. It touches on psychology, chemistry, and the delicate balance between order and chaos that defines successful teams. Losing Metcalf could streamline things, but it could also flatten them, depending on how the void is filled. Speculation also drifts toward external interest, because where there is smoke, there are always imagined suitors. Metcalf's profile ensures that if he were ever available, even hypothetically, the line would be long. That awareness adds pressure to the Steelers' internal discussions. Knowing that others value what you have can either reinforce your commitment or tempt you to explore options. The rumor suggests that this awareness is part of the current tension, a silent countdown that nobody acknowledges openly. Each day, without clarification, feeds the story, allowing it to evolve from a question into a narrative with its own momentum. Fans refresh feeds, creators speculate on air, and the absence of denial becomes its own form of confirmation in the public eye. This is how modern sports discourse works, and the Steelers are not immune to it. But before we dive in, don't forget to subscribe to Steelers Nation Central and hit the like button on this video. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on the Pittsburgh Steelers. And don't forget to share your thoughts on the news in the comments below. In the end, whether DK Metcalf actually leaves or not almost becomes secondary to what this moment reveals. It reveals an organization under introspection, a star evaluating his place within a larger machine, and a fan base caught between trust and anxiety. Rumors are mirrors. They reflect underlying truths even when the surface story is distorted. The truth here may simply be that the Steelers are thinking hard about who they want to be next, and Metcalf is central to that question. If he stays, it will likely come with renewed clarity and commitment. If he goes, it will mark the start of a new era defined by different values. Until then, the speculation lives on, fueled by silence, interpretation, and the undeniable gravity of a name that refuses to be ignored. At the center of this storm is a league balancing transparency, integrity, and competitive fairness. How the NFL navigates the allegations, whether by imposing fines, demanding leadership changes, or issuing warnings, will shape not only the Texans' future, but potentially the balance of power across multiple franchises. The Steelers, with their strategic foresight and patient approach, appear poised to exploit any openings created by Houston's instability, whether through draft positioning, trade leverage, or roster improvements. Fans and analysts continue to speculate, debate, and theorize, constructing elaborate scenarios that keep the story alive. The combination of high-profile controversy, league scrutiny, and calculated strategy by rival teams has created a narrative rich in drama, suspense, and opportunity. In this unfolding saga, every rumor, leak, and analysis contributes to a story that could reshape competitive landscapes, captivate audiences, and define a critical chapter in the NFL's ongoing saga. The implications for the Texans, the Steelers, and the league as a whole are immense, and all eyes remain fixed on the next development in this high-stakes drama. Finally, rumors suggest that the narrative surrounding Stroud and what is likely to echo beyond this single matchup, potentially shaping public perception, player confidence, and media discourse for weeks or even months afterward. Analysts speculate that if Stroud's provocations succeed in drawing mistakes or lapses in judgment, the Texans may emerge with both psychological and tactical advantage. Conversely, if what's composed leadership inspires a dominant defensive display, the narrative will reinforce the enduring value of experience, discipline, and poise under pressure. Fans are captivated by the story, framing it as a modern example of how leadership, temperament, and confidence can rival raw talent in shaping outcomes. Sources close to both teams hint that even the players not directly involved in this verbal sparring are internalizing lessons from the exchanges, suggesting that this saga may influence team culture long after the game ends. Social media and fan speculation continue to elevate the matchup into a near-mythical status, blending anticipation, drama, and rumor into a spectacle that transcends a single sporting event, leaving everyone waiting to see whether words, wit, or willpower will dominate when the first play unfolds. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the Pittsburgh Steelers, make sure to subscribe to Steelers Nation Central and give this video a like. We always look forward to hearing your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.